Today, we're taking a look at the specialized Tarmac S-Works SL6 disc brake frame set. This is a really new and exciting S-Works frame set. People have been looking for this for quite a while because this is the new frame using their 12R carbon, which is specialized newest carbon layup. And they've had out the rim brake version for a few months now, but the disc bikes are finally coming available. This is a really big upgrade over last year because what they're going to is both on the front and the rear, they're going to a through axle design, and they've also figured out how to save over 200 grams on the frame. So think of that as being about 20% of weight that they've actually been able to lose over the previous generation. The previous generation used their 11R carbon, whereas this one uses 12R. The previous generation also had quick releases, where this bike is through axle, which means you're getting a much stiffer and better riding setup. And then a few other things changed. This has gone to 12 by 142 spacing in the rear versus the 9mm by 135. And then arguably one of the most exciting things is it's gone to this aluminum press fit BB30 bottom bracket, or rather just BB30. This is a true BB30, and it comes with ceramic speed bearings out of the box. Now, as we take a look at this frame, a few things come to mind that are pretty neat about it. So now with the SL6 frame set, all of them are running the rider first technology, meaning they're actually making tubing sizes and shapes specific to the size of the bike. So that way, from a size 61 like we're looking at here, all the way down to the smallest size, they're actually going to ride with the same characteristics. And that's pretty neat technology, because many companies will actually just use the same layup schedule and shrink it or enlarge it based on the size of the bike. Now, this frame has a lot of neat things going on, and one of the first ones I want to show you here is the cable routing. So you can actually see here, the cable routing comes in down through the head tube of the bike. So it's actually going to come across the front and then hook in right to the top tube. And right there you've got a little box to be able to run either Di2, mechanical, or even an ETAP style group where it's entirely wireless. The other neat things is inside of the fork is now internally routed. So if you look here, you can actually see the routing for the brake going to the flat mount caliper, and then the hose will actually come out right through the top of the fork blade. The same thing happens in the rear of this bike. So the rear on this bike is going to have the hose for the flat mount brake to come right out inside of the rear chainstay, and then it goes all the way internal of the bike out through the head tube. You can actually see the spot in the head tube there. Now, one of the other neat things about this bike is it's got some aerodynamic shapes to it, and this is kind of surprising because if you just look at the bike, it doesn't actually look all that aerodynamic, but some of these shapes, like this airfoil on the seat tube of the bike, that airfoil there is actually going to allow for quite a bit of good aerodynamics, along with these nice tapered chains or seat stays. And what's really neat about it is over the previous generation SL5 Tarmac, this should save you quite a bit of time. I think they claim 45 seconds over a 40-kilometer ride, and that's really equivalent to the previous generation Venge, so the original rim brake Venge. This bike is going to be about as fast as that aero bike, even though you're getting the lightweight climbing performance of a Tarmac. Now, one of the other neat things about the Tarmac is they're actually using their own seat post now. I mean, Specialized has made seat posts for quite some time, but they've made this kind of unique shape here on the seat post, and this allows both for aerodynamics as well as some compliance. So when we take our frame, you'll actually see the frame itself has kind of a strange opening here, and that's because the seat post is not round, and it's going to slide in, leaving a spot for you to actually be able to put the seat post clamps. The seat post clamps towards the back of the frame, and that actually allows a little bit of flex and compliance within the seat post to be able to have a really nice riding bike. Now, with any S-Works, what's pretty neat is they'll actually run real lightweight bottle cage bolts. It comes with ceramic speed bearings. In fact, you even get the nice little sticker on it, and the paint job on this frame is just downright gorgeous. It goes from this blue to almost a purple shift. This is a chameleon color from Specialized, and it is incredibly sharp. Also in the box, what's pretty cool is they'll actually run with two different types of skewers. So because this is a through axle bike, you now get these DT Swiss through axles to use, and you can either do the ones with the lever, or you can actually use, they send them with the ultralight skewers here that actually are flat. They require a tool to install. But really what that allows for is a really slick look when you actually install it onto the frame. So because this has a flat head, when you actually install that into the fork, you'll notice that it'll actually entirely disappear. It kind of sits itself inside of the fork there, and you get this really beautiful look without having that handle. But of course, if you use this bike in a place where you're going to need to be taking the wheels on and off quickly, or maybe you're not as concerned about the weight, then you can actually just run the traditional skewer style where you have that lever to take the wheel on and off. The final thing to talk about with this frame is actually going to be tire clearance. So when you go up to the disc brake version of the SL6 frame, it's going to increase tire clearance to where you can actually run 30mm tires. You've got nice wide space above the front fork. You've got a really generous cutout on the seat tube of the bike. You can actually see it cuts out, allowing the tire to come a little bit further in. And that's really going to allow you to run some of the modern tires that are going to keep this rolling super smooth, super comfortable, but at the same time being fast and really agile. So now that we've taken a look at all of the really great features about this SL6 Tarmac disc, let's go ahead and start putting some stuff on scales and see what it weighs in at. All right, so let's go ahead and start out with the seat post. So the seat post on here is going to come in at 176 grams. That's pretty light, especially considering it's got all of our mounting hardware for the carbon railed post already installed. We're then going to take our fork. The fork here, as you can see, is actually an uncut steer tube. So let's go ahead and place the fork on. This fork's going to weigh in at 387 grams, which is fairly good for a uncut steer tube. Then finally, let's go ahead and place our frame set on. Now this frame, this is a 61 centimeter, so it is pretty good size. It's got bottle cage bolts in it. It's got the cover for running your internal routing, and then it does have a rear derailleur hanger on it. So let's go ahead, place it on the scale. You'll see what a dressed up frame is going to weigh in at. So if we put that onto our scale, it weighs in at 1,046 grams, which that is pretty dang light for a 61 centimeter. So go ahead, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this S-Works frame. I gotta tell you, it is gorgeous. And be sure to go ahead, click that subscribe button, so that way you can see more videos like this into the future and stay on top of brand new bikes and parts that are coming out. Thanks so much for watching.